didn't have any questions or concerns.
No, they look good. I don't know about the backboard.
We saw it. Yeah, something wrong with the printer we got coming in. That's code. You didn't get the
Translator.
Yeah. All right, department head report. Any department heads? Hearing none. Solicitors report.
Last week, we met with representatives of the Conservation District along with Push Beaver County to move forward with the 2020 Maple Syrup Festival. And we are in the process of putting together an agreement to be voted on at next week's meeting. And one issue that was discussed that I want to get clarification on is traditionally we have passed on charges associated with DPW work in the Sheriff's Department for their services that they provide in association with putting on the festival. And I wanted to see if we wanted to include those costs in the contract again this year, or if that's something that the county wanted to do differently with this 2020 Maple Syrup Festival.
From my perspective, I don't want to create any extra hurdles from this going off in the transition, given the difficulties they have. So I'd be willing to.
I think we discussed at that meeting that we do everything that's possible to make it work, especially during the first year or two.
Okay. All right.
Okay with that. Very minimal cost, I think, as well. I think the Conservation District gave some numbers, but it was very minimal.
So then on the agreement, then we'll remove any type of references as far as reimbursement to the county for any DPW and Sheriff Department work for that weekend.
What my understanding was we already waived the fees for the park itself, right?
Yeah,
Correct, the
that's
rental
all.
fees and all
The
that,
rental fees, right.
right? Traditionally, what has happened though is that for any work that our employees would do, there would be a reimbursement for that itself.
Does there have to be like $1 to make it legal or?
Sale.
There'll be $1 for the rental, the $1
Right.
piece for the actual use of the facility itself, but for the actual workers, we won't reference what was done before, that there was a fee sheet that was attached to it, saying here's what the charge would be per hour based on what would be done.
I mean, you probably could say somewhere in there that the fees could be reestablished after a couple of years.
Sure, this is only a
Well, it's
one
an annual agreement, right?
Yeah, it's an annual, it's only a 1 year
Let's say,
agreement, so.
usually we renew the annual agreement.
Gotcha.
Okay. We'll make it work, just wanted to make sure that how we wanted to have it phrased, so that will be on the agenda for next week. And then, do need an executive session to discuss some contract negotiation matters and a real estate matter.
Any other questions for the law department? Solicitors? No. Hearing none. Board of Commissioners?
Just finding my way around the building.
Don't go in the elevator over there.
Mr. Willis says, don't go in the elevator over there. Is that what you said?
Yes.
All right, I don't have anything else either. Any other business? Hearing none. Audience participation.
Dan, my name's Robo, I met you before.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you got the email.
I did.
was tempted to send you about pickleball. I don't know if you guys know what pickleball is. It has nothing to do with pickles. Supposedly it was the guy who invented the game, supposedly named it after his dog. Basically, it's sort of a ping pong, tennis, racquetball combination. And people are playing it and around the country, it's getting to be a really fast growing sport. I talked to Mr. Ishman over at the ice rink over there. He seems to be on board with it. Last year they were talking about putting one outside, but he said the tennis courts are in really bad shape, so that wouldn't work, and he was concerned it would conflict with the basketball. I don't know what all would be involved. He says since it's a county facility, it has to be through the proper channels, which I assume is you guys do. If you're not familiar with it, if you call the YMCA and stop over sometime, watch how it's played. And if you want to play, don't play against the little old ladies because they will kick your butt. I guess the main thing would be getting lines down, and then there could be some discussion about fees and that type of stuff. I think the tennis players pay $24 an hour. So eventually it should pay for itself. I think they already have one net that they were going to use outside. They might be able to use the tennis nets, they just have to lower them a little bit. If they couldn't use them, it only takes about 10 minutes to set the net up. So I appreciate you guys taking a look at that. There's at least 30 people who play at the Y right now, and there's people who play in different locations. I think some of the schools are starting with the kids. It's definitely cheaper than hockey. So maybe some school districts could get involved in it too. And if you guys can just take a look at it, the pickleballers of the county would appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Is this smaller than a
That's what I was
tennis
saying.
court?
I'm not sure of the tennis court dimensions, but the dimensions are on there. It's 20 feet wide because that's how wide the street was in front of the guy's house when he had the game. And it's 44 long, I think. I don't, like I said, I'm not sure. I think it's slightly smaller than the tennis court.
so the lines will be inside the.
It'll be inside. And they can make it a different color. A lot of places have them on basketball courts now, and the basketball players and the pickleball players don't seem to get too confused, so I don't think the tennis players would get confused either by, as long as it's a different color set of lines.
There's a company called Sports Courts that actually make courts for pickleball and convertible kind of stuff
Yeah.
with a different kind of a surface. I don't know how much room's at the park, or whether there's interest in building a new court specifically for this rather than converting one. Maybe something, I don't know the cost, it could be grants or something to allow a court specific for this, because they are different dimensions, different surface and given the
It
conditions.
looks like it's smaller.
So it is.
It is, I'm looking up a tennis court right now. A tennis court is, for the single line, 27 inches, or 27 feet in width. This looks to be about 20. It looks like it's about 39 on one side of the court. Depth, this appears to be about 24. So yeah, it is going to be.
Substantially shorter.
That's our crack law department right there. They are on top of it.
I'll tell you what, I've seen these at Graham Park out in Cranberry. My daughter plays some softball there, and they're full. So.
No, I had
It's
a
a
neighbor
young
who
guy
had one
with
of
a
those
computer
courts.
and internet access.
So I think what we'll do is we'll have Tony reach out to Tim, and obviously the cost would be very minimal for the paint.
I think it would, yeah.
And then the netting, and maybe see what Tim says and try one of the courts to start.
Well, I'd like to explore all
Yeah,
options.
explore.
I mean, really, these are the kinds of amenities that draw people and stuff. So let's explore and see the popularity and see what some of the options are rather than just convert.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whipple. Any other audience participation? Yes.
Hi, Laura Lee Bernanke, Beaver County Genealogy and History Center. On behalf of the History Center and myself, I want to personally thank you for restoring the funding to the center. It's much needed and much more. Thank you. The only thing that's new that's going to be happening down at the center next week, or actually tomorrow, we plan on converting over the quarterly display. Well, I can't tell you who it's about. I can tell you that it is somebody who had a lot of influence on Beaver. So look for our Facebook page when it's up and ready, the pictures posted on there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other audience participation?
Not today.
Hearing none, we'll adjourn into executive session, not reconvene, correct?
Sounds good.